These girls, they're mine. I love it.
You're anti-trans.
This is Vera Wilde, also known as Council of Geeks. They have quite a big channel. This one's not tiny, I mean, 19.4K. And they have a big Patreon presence. It's not going to be linked here because, yeah, Council of Geeks is the thing. But yeah, this is called Being Trans Without Having Dysphoria from 5 years ago. Because something I feel is that people say, oh, you don't need to have dysphoria to be trans. But no one ever makes out, like, what kind of trans people would be talking about, what kind of reasons would be talking about, you know? And it's not like AGP, because that's evil or something. So yeah, let's see what this person's viewpoint is, you know?
Lo shall it be known that those designated trans shall be smote with dysphoria, feeling that their body is not their own, and that it must be altered at all cost, lest they suffer from this plight. So saith the Lord.
Oh, it was you that mentioned it. Fair enough. Well, yeah, we're watching it, so there we go.
Hi there, my name's Vera. I'm trans. I don't have dysphoria.
See, the immediate thing is, how the fuck would we know whether this person has dysphoria or not, apart from their word? And their word is whatever they want it to be, so I don't know.
So before I get any further into this, happy Pride. Yeah. This might seem like an odd month to talk about this, except that this was just kind of going to be the next video I was going to...
It's kind of like being autistic with no difficulties or delays. Maybe. I'm not sure. But I need to hear her out, to be fair.
Get around to doing. That would be ready to go, and I definitely wanted to have something out this month. But yeah, I don't have gender dysphoria, but I'm also trans, which is something...
Actually, no, you can tell because of this hairline right here. This is very male. Like, the amount of these trans women that cut off one side of their hair, and this is what results because they sweep it all the other side. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Something that doesn't compute for a lot of people, and honestly didn't for me for a little while. Now, before I get too far into sort of explaining myself...
Listen, in very technical terms, of course you don't need dysphoria to be trans. You can just transition anyway, but it's like, why would you want to? And then what are you fixing? You know what I mean? Like, if you want to be a body modifier, then I guess go for it. But, you know, you probably should be paying for your own shit. And hey, the amount of Patreon backs this person gets, like, they probably have paid for it for themselves, which, you know, whatever, that's fine. I don't care about that. I want to be loved and adored as a woman. I was in, like, HSTS, maybe.
I should...
No, oh, this person used to be a cross-dresser. They used to be a cross-dresser. And now they're trans.
Should clarify a few, basically, terms. You know, define your terms. So... when I say I'm trans, most people, for someone looking the way that I presently...
I still disagree with your definition, Sam. I think being trans is having dysphoria and the desire to transition. Gender dysphoria means unhappiness with your gender.
Look in this video would take that to mean that I am a trans woman, meaning somebody assigned male at birth who wishes to live a full...
Yeah, it depends on how you define it. I'm using a different definition, I guess. I just mean... you're not happy with your dysphoria. If you do nothing about it, you're not trans, surely.
Full-time life as a woman. That is not me. I am gender fluid. My sense of...
Wait, hold up.
Male at birth who wishes to live a full-time life as a woman.
Wishes to live a full-time life as a woman. I mean, in so much as you can. That's not the worst way of putting it I've ever heard, though.
That is not me. I am gender fluid. My sense of self doesn't...
Unhappiness with your gender is fundamentally coextensive with wanting to change your gender. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. It's often, at the very least, used to mean that. And it's difficult when the definitions change from one person to another. So, I don't know.
stay put. It's, I wasn't
Like when I say it's possible, I'm talking also in a very technical sense, you know?
assigned male at birth. Sometimes my sense of self wanders in a decidedly feminine direction. Sometimes it goes more masculine. Sometimes it hangs out in the middle. Sometimes it just kind of shifts around even, within
Like, what does any of this mean? You know what I mean?
in the same day. So that is how I identify. Gender fluid does still fall under the trans umbrella.
To be clear, I don't think the trans umbrella exists. I think trans is transsexual and everything else can be non-binary or queer, whichever one you want. It's just not the same thing. I think trans should be much more like squarely defined, you know?
Especially for me at this point, because while I may not be transitioning into something that is fixed, i.e. going to live
You don't need drugs or surgery to be real. Well, what does it mean to be real? What does it mean to be really trans, for example? I'm real as a trans person. Like, what does that mean?
full-time as a woman and being a trans woman, which again, I don't claim to be, I have absolutely transitioned out of life as a cisgender male, which is what I was, or at least what I identified as.
In what way? How are you not a cisgender male anymore? You've dressed differently, sure.
For quite some time. And for a long time, I was very reluctant, even knowing that it had use as an umbrella term, to refer to myself as trans. Not because
I hate that shit so much. This is why I'm so against the umbrella shit. Like, dressing up is not the same as trans. Like, you can dress up as anything you want. That doesn't mean anything without you putting definitions onto it, like, after doing it, you know?
I thought there was anything wrong with being trans. But to not step on toes, out of fear that people would say, no, you're not, you can't say that.
That is at least, like, respectable. Acknowledging you have differences. I do respect that.
But additionally, a misunderstanding myself of what it means to be trans. Because for a very long time, I had it in my head, and I had assumed that dysphoria is like a staple, possibly even the determining factor of being trans, as opposed to being gender fluid or being a cross-dresser or being androgynous or whatever else. Now, dysphoria is the sensation, dysphoria about your sense of gender can also be linked to body dysmorphia, which is that there's something about you, and in the case of a trans person who's suffering from dysphoria, something about your body and your sense of self that you look at that or you sense that, and it is distinctly at odds with your gender identity.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's a case of I'm just dressing a certain way and changing my name and stuff, and it's, this is just as far as I'm going. I think there's more to it. But then this is quite an old video. I wouldn't be surprised if there's, like, updates to this.
Identity. And that can cause a lot of issues. It can cause a lot of distinctly at odds, a lot of issue identity. And it is distinctly at odds with your gender identity. And that can cause a lot of...
We don't need to define gender identity, I guess. No one ever does. I fucking don't know.
Issues. It can cause a lot of self-esteem and personal image issues. It can factor into depression. It's not a fun thing to have to deal with. And I've never had it. And even now,
I don't even know if I believe this, by the way. If they're dressing full-time as this, I don't know that I believe them, quite honestly. Like, it's a very femme-coded thing where it's like, you say you feel sometimes you're male and sometimes female. I don't know. Kind of seems like you're gendering yourself quite specifically, but sure.
Like, I still don't. And at this point, I've got, by most people's standards, I've got a weird body. at this point, because I'm on testosterone blockers. I'm not on estrogen, but despite not being on estrogen,
Wait, isn't that dangerous? Isn't that how you potentially get like osteoporosis and stuff like that? Because this is the same basic way of being as like me being post-op if I were to not take any HRT, you know? This sounds like it's really bad for you.
I still have, I've developed a bust.
Are we sure she's not on estrogen? I don't know about this.
These girls, they're mine.
Oh my god, stop. Okay, we need to get that looped a few times.
These girls, they're mine. Developed a bust. These girls, they're mine. They're mine.
Oh my god, I feel dirty. AGP. Yeah, I mean, why only on T blockers? Listen, I could be wrong here. I really don't think that like T blockers alone would make you develop a bust, as this person is saying. Like, this feels suspicious to me. But I don't know for sure. Obviously, I don't know this person, you know, I don't know what they've gone on to do anyway, meaning that most of this is probably irrelevant because it's from 2019, but I don't know, I'm just looking for answers, man.
But I never look at them and think...
Yeah, Cameron, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I don't know that you can, but I don't think that you can, if that makes sense.
They look wrong.
And by the way, I still don't think you're supposed to be on T blockers and no estrogen. You should have some hormone going on.
But I never look at them...
Is that the AGP laugh, maybe?
...and think they look wrong. Nor do I ever look at my intact masculine genitals and feel that those look wrong.
I mean, we're talking about body dysmorphia at this point. Like, I don't think I had body dysmorphia. I didn't look down at my penis and be like, I don't think that's right. That shouldn't be there. I just would rather it wasn't there, you know?
Neither. This is all me. And I never...
It's all you, whether you have a complex about it or not. Jesus Christ. If you have a complex about something, if you have a body integrity or identity disorder, and you think your hand shouldn't be there, that doesn't mean it shouldn't be there. It doesn't mean that's not part of you.
I wanted to call myself trans for a long time because I thought, well, I can't be.
I'm so sorry, get some 420, but at the same time, like, I watch trans people. What do you expect? This is gonna happen.
I don't have dysphoria about my body, usually specifically thinking about my genitals. Like, I don't think I'm ever gonna get rid of that. I love it.
Why are you telling people this? I love my penis. God, this person reminds me more and more of Vorsh every day. He used to talk about his penis all the time from what I remember.
But...
And what does the laugh mean? I wonder what the laugh means.
I did have it in my head. To be trans was to have dysphoria about your secondary or primary sex characteristics. And because I didn't have that, well, I'm not trans. And I am trans. But the way in which I'm trans doesn't fit the narrative. And when I say the narrative, I don't just mean the narrative of...
Blocking testosterone can give you black breasts in some prostate cancer treatments, for example. Okay, fair enough. Listen, I wasn't sure. Lily Tino. She does have a facial similarity, I think, to Lily Tino. But, like, the hair is, like, completely different, so it's kind of hard to see it. Dental dysphoria. Yeah, I'm sure that exists. What in the name of Jeffree Star is happening makeup-wise? Well, they've gone for the eyeshadow all the way up to the eyebrows. I think this person is an OnlyFans, so I guess that makes sense. We want to look like hookers. I don't know why I'm checking here. OnlyFans wasn't around, I don't think, in 2019. Or if it was, it wasn't very big. Massive eyelashes. I don't know what the lipstick situation is. I'm not even going to try. I don't know.
People of, cisgender people looking, from the outside looking in, even the trans narrative that the trans
Ads for male dildo. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Jesus. I don't know. Why? Maybe I'm not a very sex-driven person. So I just find it kind of gross. Dental dysphoria was set in 10 minutes, 20 minutes ago. Oh my God. I need to stop laughing at the chat because I'm going to get told I'm transphobic. But I get told that anyway. Who cares?
community tends to favor. I don't fit that. And
what does the community tend to favor?
Favor. I don't fit that. And dysphoria is very often a part of that narrative because for most trans people, trans men or trans women, who...
Here's the thing. I do not believe that if we took two of these people right here, one of them has gender dysphoria and one of them doesn't, would the outcome be any different? Like, it's so, like, female coded, yet we're saying we don't have gender dysphoria, and we're saying that, God, I don't even fucking know what else. Like, I guess they're trans because they're doing the same thing as anyone else. This is so petty, but forehead. Yeah, I get you. It's a bit Gordon Ramsay, I guess. He's written an actual book on being a cross. Oh my God. Oh, hi, Shiloh. We're talking about being trans without having dysphoria. This is Vera Wilde.
Who make use of surgery. So whether it be breast implants, whether it be sexual reassignment surgery, in the case of trans men, whether it be top surgery, or, you know, you don't even have to be a trans.
Doesn't mention phalloplasty because half of them die. That's a bit of a joke, but hey, I don't think to be trans is just to look feminine. Well, it's not. The thing is, we talk about how we don't have gender dysphoria, but we do everything like female kind of gendered. And I mean, whether they look feminine or not is kind of besides the point a lot of the time. There has to be some component of a literal desire to be the other sex. It depends whether you're calling gender dysphoria the desire to be the other sex, or if you think gender dysphoria is distinct from that, I guess. Chat here is undecided, and that's fine, you know? Hey, you should like the stream. If you like the stream...
Trans man or trans woman, there are...
Very few trans people get SRS. Sorry, I'm pausing so fucking quickly. That is true, but some of that is to do with how long it takes to actually get SRS. But at the same time, yeah, there's plenty of these trans women that want to get it at the same time. And obviously for trans men, it's even rarer because the phalloplasty is complicated and it's many surgeries. And I think we've had at least a couple of deaths from those ones. Non-binary cross-dresser. But like, what's the difference anymore? You can send me a message. Yeah, of course.
I know non-binary women. Well, I say non-binary, assigned female at birth individuals who...
What's the difference? It literally says female in it. Just say female. Just say women. What's wrong with the word women?
Who are not trans...
This is just coping about your sex now.
It's men, but they've still had top surgery because they still had dysphoria about their chest.
Well, then maybe they are trans. Like... What's the difference at this point? There's so many tiny little differences which we have to be super cognizant of.
And that is very much a part of the trans narrative because it is tied to some of the steps.
Does my partner come into chat occasionally? Not often. Oh, hi, Ink Searcher. We're learning about being trans without having dysphoria. To be honest, I don't really... it's the same, like... It's the same result whether you supposedly have dysphoria or not. And the only way you can tell who has dysphoria, supposedly, is for them to tell you. So it's like, I don't know. A lot of this feels completely meaningless to me.
That many trans people take. That you engage in...
I mean, the thing for me is, put dysphoria into this person where they supposedly don't have any. They'd look exactly the same, would they not?
These surgical alterations to combat dysphoria. And I am not negating that. I'm not saying that that isn't the case.
And we're using dysphoria like generally now as well. Like, are we talking about gender dysphoria or not?
Because it absolutely is. But because that is the primary trans narrative that is out there, I feel like the idea of being trans without dysphoria is either unacknowledged or
Hey, I think Blanchard acknowledged it, but you don't want to talk about him, do you?
possibly not understood, or just possibly it doesn't occur to people. So like for myself, most people, when they think of trans,
Their unhappiness with the construct of gender dysphoria is because they don't want bottom surgery. Yeah, but they don't even believe that women can't have penises anyway, so it's basically meaningless. All of this is basically meaningless, but I keep giving these people a chance to explain something to me, and then it's like, okay, great.
people, the idea that they have, and this is true of many trans people, but the idea that they have is that somebody has, for a very long time, probably from a...
Why do most of them have dyed hair and piercings? Is that part of being a woman? No, but it's part of social contagion. It's part of trend, I think, like all kinds of thing. I don't know, I think if you're upset by being called a feminine man, you have gender dysphoria, so you're a trans woman. I don't know, it depends. I mean, I don't really get upset by being called a feminine man anymore, but I just have stopped caring because it feels like to really care that much about that kind of thing is to end up going straight back down this like logical rabbit hole, which I don't want to go back down, quite frankly. I've realized this kind of shit is bunk a long time ago. I'm not going back, you know.
a very young age known that they are not the gender they were assigned at birth.
What does that even mean? How do you know you are not the gender you assigned at birth? I thought gender was supposed to be socially constructed, but we keep changing our mind, I guess. I don't know what this person said, to be fair. They might have been consistent the whole time that gender is innate, but there's a huge disconnect which no one seems to be picking up on.
It has, for a very long time, probably from a very young age, known that they are not the gender they were assigned at birth.
How can you even know such a thing?
You know, whether it's a woman realizing that they are a man realizing they're a woman, or either or realizing that they are some other option, some form of non-binary. That the narrative is...
Yeah, like what's the point in all these options when they all just end up looking the same anyway? A non-binary man could easily look like this. A fucking non-binary woman or trans man could end up looking like this. You know what I mean?
Is that they were always that, and they are now taking the steps to make their body match who they've always known they were.
Yeah, that's stupid. That's completely unfalsifiable. We're basically talking about religion. Like, they're playing on words. Well, they're not being clear that this is metaphorical language, so what else are we supposed to think? This person believes that shit.
Always known they were.
Oh yeah, good take. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, gender is stupid. Is it? I mean, I don't know. I think most people prefer gender being there. I mean, I think it's a socially constructed thing, but now it's innate apparently. In what way is someone's gender different from their sex? In an innate way, you know what I mean?
That's not me. That's not all trans people. It's probably a majority, but
well, no, it can't be any of them because that is not possible. So clothes are what define you, basically. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. I don't know. A lot of my transition is in my presentation. I think that anyone's transition is principally in their presentation.
it's not all trans people.
So not all trans people were born the wrong gender in their body. Like, what? We just accepted this shit back then. Like 2019, amazing video. Is it? Is this an amazing video? Gender identity, I don't fucking know.
Even if I, hypothetically, were to start to live full-time as a woman.
Which, by the way, how is their life going to be different living full-time as a woman versus what they're doing here now? The only difference is what you call yourself. I once said that trans ideology is centralized. Like, It is and it isn't. It's really difficult to explain because there's not really like that many de facto like leaders. And that's part of the problem, is that these people all just spout off whatever fucking comes to their heads, and obviously it doesn't match very often. It's a difficult one. And that's, I guess, why I focus on so many different media outlets on YouTube, you know? Living full-time as Buffalo Bill. It must be very stressful to be this fixated on gender and living so much focused on one aspect of being a living, breathing, creative human. Yes. And that's why I feel so freed by just not caring as much and being like, well, I'm a male. People are probably going to call me a man sometimes. There are women that are going to be unhappy with me saying that I'm a woman when I was born male and will die male. All I've done is change certain things about myself. The first video I saw for this guy was buying a trainer bra for his breast forms. Yeah, they love to live this shit out in public. Apparently it's helping people or something. I don't know.
I wouldn't feel a disconnect to the fact that I grew up as a boy.
Do you have to? Like, that's not even necessarily your... I don't know. This is the most minute fucking difference. Like, you'd be living the same way if you were living as a woman if you weren't. So what's the difference? Like, this person does just appear like a trans person there.
Feel a disconnect.
I was agreeing with you. You need to be clear when you're saying stuff, because I don't know what people are talking about straight away. Like, you have to use complete sentences.
I wouldn't feel a disconnect to the fact that I grew up as a boy. My childhood was as a boy.
Well, like anyone's, yeah.
I have a kid. I'm her father. Even if I were to become a woman, which again, I don't think is
Like, I don't know, because on the one hand, saying that you're male, accepting that kind of shit is fair enough, because it's true. But on the other hand, they spout so much, like, complete bullshit that is not how any of this works. And there's no way of showing it whatsoever, because it's just figments of people's imaginations. So, like, what, am I supposed to give them props because they call themselves a man or a he? Like, I don't know. I don't feel that way inclined, to be quite honest. Because they're spouting so much fucking gibberish. And some of the stuff they're saying, or the way they're saying some stuff, is like, I just don't know that this person is telling the truth with any of this, and isn't just making this shit up on the spot, because making this kind of thing was trendy in like June 20th, 2019 or whatever, because everyone was fucking crazy about trans people. Yeah, we need trans rights now, you know.
in the cards for me, but even if I did, I'd still be her father. And that's not me saying anyone who does this is still these things. This is me.
Yeah, and they have to like preface it like, no, you can't be the child's mother. The child's mother was the one that like carried them in the womb. You're not their mother now. Like, I guess if you'll use stepmother for someone that didn't carry a child, you could use something analogous to that, but I don't know.
I am only talking about me here. Because for me, I don't know if this sentence is going to make any sense. I'm not trans by nature, I'm trans by evolution.
What?
And what I mean by that is, I can look back at my life and I don't think that I was always what you see now.
Oh, identities change over time, yeah, I guess.
I probably at about puberty, I started having a sense of a feminine
I mean, I hope blocking the T and potentially getting osteoporosis isn't going to fuck them up later in life in that case, you know?
side to myself, but it was never so clearly defined as being like, this is what I should be. And it wasn't constant. It was sporadic. And I've said in the past,
A lot of disagreement between USA and UK is how we use words way differently. Have you got like an example? Because I think we speak basically the same language, and I probably do use some like Americanisms because a lot of this shit is American. It came over from there to my country and all sorts of other countries, you know?
I was what I was meant to be at the time. I couldn't be what I am right now I couldn't have been this at some earlier point in my life.
What, the same person with makeup and different clothes on? Wow, this is so deep, right?
I couldn't have been this 5 years ago. And I wouldn't have even dreamed of a life like I now have 10 years ago. I would not have been ready to live like this, because this is not like, this is the me that...
Josh Saito. Yeah, Josh Saito needs to put a bit more effort in if I'm gonna if I'm gonna even include him in the fucking trans shit.
That has always been suddenly free. No, I've grown into this. And I may continue to grow into something else. I don't know.
The thing is, like, I don't know how you're supposed to, like, tell whether any of this is real, what they're saying. Like, hang on, I had something better than that.
This is not like, this is the me that has always been suddenly free. No, I've grown.
Yeah, they're making more sense in that way, but they're still capitulating to that bizarre fucking ideology, even though it doesn't even fit in. Is she going to regret this later in life? God knows. A T block is permanent. Not that I know of, but I'm pretty sure if you're taking T blockers and you're not taking any kind of hormones, that's something that can risk getting you osteoporosis. So there could be things that could be regrettable. You know what I mean? Yeah, they said earlier that they're on T blockers but no HRT. So that's why I'm worried about, oh, they can cause permanent infertility. Fair enough.
Into this. And I may continue to grow into something else. I don't know. But what I am now is on the shoulders of everything that I was before, including being a boy and a man. And whatever I become in the future is on the shoulders of that and of this.
Did this person ever properly transition to try and look like the opposite sex? Kinda. Hang on, let me see if I can... that wasn't the right way to do it. Let me see if I can find an example. They have a more recent video called Being Trans Without Surgery. I think they still have that horrible side shave though. One sec. Okay. This is them waving a dildo around. That's what they look like currently. This is 1 month ago. That'll do. So yeah, you could say that they're trying to, looking like a woman for any male is not the easiest thing in the world, unless you're very genetically lucky in that sense.
And
serial killer vibe. I mean, I get the AGP vibes and stuff like that. I think there's probably simpler explanations to all this than what they've been saying. But I mean, like I said, I agree with a couple of things. Like, your identity does change a lot throughout your life, which is why I don't know why you'd want kids to like pin down their identity that young and decide that they're the other sex, and then change themselves in a whole load of ways that they might change out of.
Through that evolution, I have been unbelievably fortunate to be able to look in the mirror. I'm not going to say be completely happy. I've got love handles I would love to get rid of. They drive me crazy.
It's always appearance-based as well, isn't it? Like, that's what I keep saying. The whole living as a woman thing, isn't that mostly just the appearance? Like, what else is there?
But I don't look at the fundamental characteristics of my body and see something wrong. And I'm very lucky for that. I know that, again, do not for even an instant think that my saying I don't have dysphoria means that dysphoria isn't real. Dysphoria is incredibly real for me.
You see what I mean? Like, just this capitulating, just like, it's gross, disgusting.
Many trans people. But I worry...
Oh, by the way, if you use a compressor, use a noise gate too.
About people who are trans who are either not able to make that leap themselves or have others telling them, no, you're not, because they don't have dysphoria. because you can still be trans without it. Just like
There's no explanation of why you would though, right?
for the majority,
and you can just do everything that any trans person does anyway, including growing boobs, blah, 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 you know.
Of the human population, gender.
Vera is describing normal feelings during puberty that got corrupted by porn. Quite possibly. Listen, I wasn't corrupted by porn, so I can't relate to that, I guess.
And physical sex are the same thing and are intrinsically linked.
Wait, what?
Of the human population, gender and physical sex are the same thing and are
Listen, I don't think they're the same thing. I think they're interlinked though. I mean, we gender things based on the two sexes, right?
Intrinsically linked.
And the thing is, if this person wasn't trying to be going for either masculine or feminine, like, I just don't believe them, because like everyone still genders themselves as being something either between or like one side or the other. Like, no one actually expresses themselves as neither really masculine nor feminine, if you think about it.
Whereas with trans people, our sense of gender is not intrinsically tied to
Our. We're using our now, okay. And how do we know it's not linked? If it's not linked, why are you trying to be the other gender? Like, let's say there's two genders, and ignore all the fucking spectrum shit for a minute. It's very gendered here, isn't it? Like, I don't know. This is just not as deep as we're pretending it is. I've had one person tell me that, like, the gender binary, like, limits people's creativity on how they can present themselves. And it's like, no, it fucking doesn't. Like, all of you people look the fucking same to me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
the sex we were born into. Much in that same way, being trans and having dysphoria are statistically very frequently linked, to the point that one could almost be forgiven for assuming they're synonymous. But that's not the universal truth. I don't necessarily know what I
Oh, good to see you, Stuart. Thank you very much.
hope to accomplish by talking about this in this video.
Views, a bunch of people soying out about, oh my god, this is so true, isn't that amazing? I always thought I can't be trans because I'm not, like, you know what I mean? Or someone's like, true scum alert, no dysphoria equals you're not transsexual. That's actually kind of true, but that's because we're using transsexual now. You can, however, be a transvestite, but then no one's going to want to be called that because there's a inherent meaning it's a guy in a dress. But then again, that's exactly what you strike me as. Oof. Let's see. Oh, someone agrees. This is 4 years ago. Do you think all the supportive comments... Oh no, that's 3 years ago. Never mind. See, I don't think people are really recognized as nothing. I think people are still gendered. And I think people still gender themselves because they still base it on what they were or what sex they are. You know what I mean? Like, if you're female and you do everything you can to look male, you're kind of still being... Your gender is still influenced by your sex in a way, is it not? It's exactly what she said. There's a lot more to it than she saying that she's a fucking... what's it called? Transvestite.
But that's not the universal truth. I don't necessarily know what I...
Like, the base thing would be to call yourself a transvestite. Yeah, that's what I am, yeah. I don't know about all this trans stuff. Like, it's like, whatever, you know. That would be, like, the base thing to do. But instead, we're still trying to make this shit, like, work. And we're still trying to validate everyone else's shit. And not even explaining it, really, in a way that just doesn't sound like another way of wording, like, fucking gender dysphoria.
hope to accomplish by talking about this in this video.
Gender is like identification. It's done by others. Yeah, largely. I think gender has like internal and external factors, I guess, because we gender ourselves as well. And I mean, I think your gender is part of your overall identity, right? They don't like to be called transvestites because they are transvestites. I mean, yeah. I don't even know if I can call myself a transvestite anymore. Like, I guess I'm wearing female clothes technically, but it's like, I don't know.
It's just that there are things about my life and my trans journey that I don't see talked about. And maybe that's because I am a 1 in a billion freak and there's nobody else like.
Nope, there's a fucking hell of a lot of people out there like you. Loads of people are making up shit about gender and deciding it's a truth of some kind.
This, I don't know.
Like, you can't just do all this shit. You have to go through fucking leaps and bounds to validate it to yourself. Like, why not just be like, yeah, I just dress this way, fuck it. Ray Alex Williams did a video about how people are pushed into transgender. I'll have a look at it at some point. I don't try to watch, I don't try to watch too much content like that where I'm agreeing with everything. But I might check it out at some point.
But I think
yeah, the misgendering stuff. It's like, if this person was being real, wouldn't they just be like, yeah, I'm a man, I wear fucking women's clothes, I like makeup, what of it? Wouldn't that be the kind of thing? And like, not having to like validate all this weird trans shit that like has no real evidence for it besides people's word, which I'm sorry, I just don't trust people very much. Like, what do you want me to do?
there's at least a possibility that there are others like me, or there would be if they could hear some reassurance that they aren't a 1 in a billion, that there is someone else like them. Again, I don't know if that's true, but maybe.
What does any of that matter when you so blatantly want to like be part of the fucking community either way because you're simping for them so hard?
And sometimes maybe is enough. Hope is a drug, and I am an addict. So there you go. Happy Pride Month to the trans people who do suffer from dysphoria. My heart goes out to you in whatever steps you need to take to, in the most healthy way possible, deal with that.
As long as it's WPATH approved.
And reduce it. I hope you are able and have the ability and the means and the support system to address that. And if you don't have it now, I hope you find it. And if you're like me, well, then you're not alone. So that'll be it for this one, folks. I don't know how regularly I'll get videos out on this channel. I
just don't know how deep this is, I guess. Like, you're a guy that wears women's clothes and wears makeup. Like, good for you. I don't know. She's got a being trans without surgeries one as well. I guess I'll look a little bit. The breast form store. Good start. Patreon, tip jar, Ko-fi. Like, how many fucking ways to paying these people do we need? It's insane.
So I mentioned in a video not very long ago that I have additional things to talk about in regards to
This is like 4 years after the last one, by the way. Cross-dressing is a behavior, transvestite is a motivation. Wait, how can transvestite be a motivation? I am a transvestite. If you're treating it like an identity, I guess, but I don't really believe in like those kind of identities. Is it just because no one in town wants to be like her is where this 1 in a billion thing is coming from? I don't fucking know. There was so much arguing about whether you need gender dysphoria to be trans or not. And people will be like, well, you don't need gender dysphoria to be trans, but no one really explains what it means. And then this person did it, but then didn't really explain it in a way that it couldn't just be like, well, you just seem like an AGP. I don't know. You just seem like someone who wants to wear makeup, which, why can't you just do that as a guy, you know?
falling in between things, and in terms of presentation of one's gender, there was the video talking about just the fact that I don't identify as a woman. There was the video talking about
which is good. I don't either. I don't think woman's something you can identify as, personally.
Presentation as a broader concept, how one chooses to present one's gender to the world, if you are choosing to present it at all, because that...
Do you present your gender, or do you just present yourself? That's a weird way of putting it. Maybe I'm being fussy.
That was kind of one of the main things there. Nobody owes you presentation of their gender. Their gender is what it is, regardless of how they choose to express it. Remembering, of course, gender is not sex, and that gender is a social construct. So when someone is, regardless of how they choose to express it, remembering, of course, main things there, nobody owes you presentation of their gender. Their gender is what it is, regardless of how they choose to express it.
How can it be socially constructed based on what this person has just said? Am I being crazy here?
Their gender is what it is, regardless of how they choose to express it.
It is what it is, regardless how you express it.
Remembering, of course, gender is not sex.
And it's not your sex.
And that gender is a social construct.
And it's a social construct. Can someone please make that make sense for me? Yeah. It's weird that it's a social construct, but it's also innate and immutable, but then fluid. Yeah. And it doesn't change regardless of your sex and stuff, but it does change. It makes no sense. I don't know what the fuck this person is talking about.
So when someone tells you they identify as a gender, that is their gender.
So it's nothing. So I can be attack helicopter gender. I can be Hitler gender.
Just is. So
why should we take this shit so seriously? You know what I mean? Why does any of this matter then if it's just something you call yourself? Like, let the fucking adult babies fucking run around in the corner calling themselves whatever the fuck they want. But like, why does this have to be like such a fucking massive thing that completely took over like trans circles and stuff? Why does this have anything to do with trans more to the point?
This time I want to talk about being trans feminine. Again, I'm not a trans woman, but I am.
Trans feminine. I hate trans feminine, trans masculine. Useless terms. They need to just say personality is a social construct. Yeah. Don't take it seriously and it doesn't matter. The problem is too many people do take it seriously and people listen to these people and think that they have anything of value to say.
I am very much trans feminine. I am primarily femme presenting, and my transition,
all these weird like labels and stuff. Do you know what I mean? This language is just bizarre to me.
Has gone from a masculine starting place to a feminine spot, which is where I am now. I'm not fully femme every day, but trans femme is an accurate.
It's like this is like overanalyzing it to such a degree. Am I different amounts of femme on different days depending on whether I wore anything that was feminine or not? Like, this is just the way you dress. Yeah, people dress more femme some days than others. Why are we dissecting it to this extent? I just don't understand any of this shit, man.
A descriptor of me, even though trans woman isn't. And being trans femme, and both not having had nor intending to get any surgeries, can throw people off sometimes and can be confusing. Now, a lot of how I'm going to approach this is from my own point of experience, which is as a trans feminine person who has not had and at present has no intention of ever having any surgeries.
Yeah, but have you had HRT? Are those because of that? You know what I mean? This looks like uninteresting people trying to make themselves interesting. Yep. I wonder if this person's channel was kind of failing however many years ago and this is what they did. I mean, 4, 6, 70 views, not amazing, but hey.
As with most things in my gender journey, I know better than to say definitive 100% I will absolutely never do this, because my gender journey's already gone directions where I wasn't necessarily expecting it to go, but my feeling overall on surgeries has really never changed. So why don't we talk first of all?
Well, yeah, because you're attached to your penis and because you want to play with like toys and stuff and do weird sex shit, presumably. I can't be asked anymore.
And lo shall it be.
Yeah, there you go, Vera Wilde. I fucking don't know. I don't know what the point of any of this shit is. I don't know why we have to dissect anything that's gendered to the nth degree. We're not understanding more of it. We're just making up more shit, is what I feel like. It's just self-fan fiction. I don't know. I think it's nonsense. Anyway.